You know how sometimes you look back at your life and you think about all the things that you have accomplished, and you see at the people that help you accomplish these things. Everybody's person is different. For people it might be a person, it could be a situation, an object, it could be anything that made a difference in your life. Well, for me, it was my grandmother. Me being born and raised in Germany, it was a little more difficult. I had a German mother and an African American father, living in a society where it was not necessarily normal for interracial couples, especially not from America. So, but my grandmother, which we are going to call her Oma Paula, which in German means grandmother Oma, she, nothing ever mattered with her. She was always everything that I ever needed her to be. I remember being in the grocery store and being approached, by other people that she probably knew. Like, her hair is so curly, it's so soft, and it kind of put me kind of in like a weird situation. Like, oh, I was more standoffish and shy when she was more explanatory and protectant. Growing up in an addict household, it wasn't always protecting for me. But when I was with my grandmother, everything was everything with her. She was my mother, she was my father, she was my grandmother, she was my best friend. She was somebody that I can always talk to if I needed to. She'll have that warming hug or that warm milk and honey when you can't sleep at night. I remember one time she told me about, I was having nightmares at the time. When you're younger, you sometimes have those a lot, especially if you're watching TV and don't know really, you're not supposed to be watching this kind of stuff. Well, as kids, we're hard-headed. We do things, so I watched it anyways. And of course, I had nightmares. So I remember my grandma being on the phone with my grandmother, and I'm telling her that I was, I've been touched. She asked me how I was doing. I said, "Oh, Granny, I've been fine, but I've been so sleepy." She asked me why haven't I been sleeping. So I explained to her why I haven't been sleeping. Of course, she gave me the speech, like, you wasn't supposed to watch this. You're not old enough to understand, this all good stuff. But at the end, she always had a solution. So at this particular time, she told me to leave one of my feet uncovered at night, and I will not have any nightmares. And the funny thing is, the first night I was skeptical, like, how does it affect my one foot being covered from not getting any nightmares? I just didn't understand the logic. And me being a thinker, I just didn't get it at the time. So the next night I did do it. I left my foot uncovered and I slept well. I remember waking up the next morning and I couldn't believe it. So you know how you try to do it the next night and do it the next night again? So I did. And it worked. Everything that my grandmother ever told me, you know, always worked. So we all know nobody's here forever, and we all are born to die, kind of. I I had to say goodbye to her, but going through life without somebody that's always been there for you is hurtful. So I don't even know how to end this, but by saying that when I was down and I was, beating myself up for whatever reason I was to do, I remember my grandmother always telling me that life can change your directions, but only you can change your destination. And with that, I will always remember her for being the rock that she always been to me, which is my Oma Paula. Thank you for listening.